We are here today to talk about holiday game plan and specifically what can you do in Q4 to really maximize sales, grow at a peak season, and then also take that momentum and that growth and make it work for you in Q1 as well. So, agenda for today specifically, we're going to talk customer promotions, we're going to talk rep incentives, and then we're also going to touch on field tools. So starting with customer promotions. So when it comes to customer promotions, specifically in the fourth quarter, because obviously customer promotions throughout the year can serve different purposes and help you achieve different goals. But when it comes to peak season, the holiday shopping season, and Q4, there's really some very specific goals that you want your promotions to do for you. Q4 is when you have your best opportunity to acquire new customers. Everybody's out there shopping for gifts, shopping for their loved ones. People are spending more money in Q4 than they do any other time of the year. So you've got an influx of people out in the market shopping. So this is a really great opportunity for you to get those customers to buy your brand, and also to be loyal to your brand even beyond Q4. So new customers, definitely a primary goal for promotions in Q4. And the best way to acquire those new customers is to offer first order discounts. If you've never ordered with us before, you get a 10% discount, or it can be on your first order, you get a free gift added to your order. These are all different variations, but somehow make that first ordering experience a special one, so that they feel appreciated and they want to continue doing business with you. New customers are also driven by referrals from existing customers, right? So if you do not have a customer referral program, Q4 is a fantastic time to launch one, not mid Q4. I will advise that you should probably launch it prior to the start of the busiest season. But that referral program is really a great way when you've got so many new customers coming to your site and exploring your brand to make sure that your existing customers are doing as much to promote you as you're doing to promote yourself. In addition to new customers, obviously increased sales. And what this means is on each transaction itself, how can we get it as high as possible? So it's not necessarily the cumulative lifetime value of a customer, but especially during the holiday season when you're going to have some of those customers who shop once and never again, how can we maximize that? How can we make sure that the average ticket value is as high as possible for you in Q4? This is where your simple kind of standard promotions are going to come into play. Free shipping above a certain ticket value. BOGO, buy one, get one, buy two, get one, buy three, get one. It doesn't have to be free either. It can be buy one, get two half price, buy three and get one free. There's all sorts of different variations here, but all of those types of incentives or promotions rather are designed to help each purchaser to maximize the spend on that single transaction. The third goal for your customer promotions is going to be recurring orders. And by that, I mean even within Q4. How can you take that customer that might only plan on buying from you one time and get them to come back even within the holiday season? This is where some of the more unique or complex promotions can really work for you. For example, we have the ability to award promotions based on whether it's their first order, second, third, or fourth order. That can be within the same month. So for the month of November, if you order 3 times or more, you get something special. You get a discount, you get free shipping. Maybe it's after your first order in the month, every subsequent order in the month gets you something. Those are all ways that you can drive that recurring order within the same month or within the holiday period. It doesn't have to be limited to 1 month only. It can be for, the months of November and December, or maybe November through December 12th, which is usually when the shipping deadlines hit. So you can really get creative there on rewarding them based on the frequency of ordering within Q4. The other really great approach here is to reward them based on their cumulative account transactions. So each customer has an account, and you all know that you can identify order history and order cumulative order volume by customer. But you can also reward them based on that. You can literally set up a loyalty program that says, as a customer, for every dollar that you spend, you get a point. And when you reach 1,000 points, you get free shipping, or you get an exclusive discount code. There are things that you can do on a cumulative basis so that it's not so much the frequency of the orders, but more how much they're spending over the course of the holiday season. Very easy to set up, and once it's running, it's all automated, so you don't have to actually manually handle these kinds of promotions. The promo engine will do all of this for you. The key is to just make that plan and be very specific on the types of behavior that you want to reward on a customer level. And then finally, in order to take Q4 momentum and make it work for you in Q1, you've got to think about bounce back. What can we do now to make them come back in January, come back in April, come back in the summertime? Think about like Kohl's Cash, right? There's a reason that they've had this program for as long as they have, because it works and it's simple and it brings people back to purchase again. So think about how you can do that in your business. How can you take those people that are purchasing today and ensure that they come back to you in the future? This is also going to be a great play for like a VIP program or a customer loyalty program, because not only can you offer bounce backs, but then you're also offering them a special birthday discount or, seasonal offerings that are exclusive to your VIP customers. If you're a party plan, you can offer an additional hostess gift if they're a VIP. There are ways that you can make them want to be more loyal and come back to you even throughout the next year. So some do's and don'ts when it comes to customer promotions. Do allow guest checkout. So this is kind of tricky because I also go on to say in the very next bullet that you still want to capture contact info for your customers, right? So how can it be both? Well, you really need to allow guest checkout during the holiday season if you want to maximize your sales. There are people that are going to be shopping during the next 3 months who do not want to create an account, don't want to give you their contact info. They're literally here just for the product. And you need those types of customers in your business. They may only come around once per year, and they may only ever order from you one time. But every single year at this time of year, those customers represent 10 to 20% of your overall sales. So you can't disregard them just because they don't want to create that account or don't want to give you their contact info. So it is always a great idea to offer that guest checkout experience at least during this holiday season. That said, are there ways that you can encourage them to go ahead and create that account, provide their info? Maybe it's after the order is completed, in the transactional communications that are going out, you let them know the benefits of creating an account or signing up to be a VIP. Let them know that by creating an account, they will have access to the full order listing and order history in case they ever need to go back and repurchase. There are ways that you can really promote the benefit of having a customer account without necessarily forcing them to do it in order to complete the purchase. Okay, so that's the line that you really need to walk there, is how do I allow people to check out quickly and efficiently, but also make sure that we've captured enough information to make them want to be a customer with us long term. This one seems obvious, but I actually see people making this mistake often. You need to set limitations on your promotions. Exclude any items from free shipping that might have a high weight and cost you a lot to ship. Or if you're not going to exclude them, make sure that your minimum ticket value for free shipping is enough to offset the extra cost for shipping heavy items. Okay. This is going to prevent you from losing money on these deals that you put out there. It's also going to prevent reps from taking advantage. Okay, so not necessarily on the free shipping example, but let's say, for example, that you have BOGO out there offered. You probably are not going to want your reps to be able to take advantage of the same deals that the customers are getting. You also don't want reps to be able to leverage a BOGO offering on business supplies or branded merch. Like, there's going to be things that you want to exclude from these promotions. So make sure you're putting the right guardrails in place, whether it's minimum volumes, excluded items, limiting how often a customer can get a reward. Maybe that BOGO is only good one time per customer. Or maybe you don't care, and if they want to buy the BOGO 3 times in the month of November, that's fine too. But the key here is to make sure that you are setting the limitations on each one of these promotions so that you don't, moving over to the don't side, don't discount yourself out of a margin or a profit, okay? Obviously, the more sales you have in Q4 is fantastic, but if it's costing you more than what you're making, then you haven't really gained anything at all. Another don't overwhelm with chaotic promo schedules. It can be very tempting to try to offer a promotion for every single type of person out there. If you are going to offer multiple promotions, I recommend having them work in a linear fashion. So maybe not all the promotions are active at the same time. Instead, maybe it's for the first week in November, here's the BOGO that we're offering. Second week in November, we're offering an enrollment promotion. So you can stagger them so that you can still hit all the different types of promotions that you want to offer, but not doing them all at once. Because if you offer too much at once, a customer may not know what they want to take advantage of. And anytime you get a customer to question something, there's a risk that they're not going to place that order. Okay, so don't overwhelm them. Make sure that if you are going to have multiple promotions, it's very clear when each promotion is active, what products they apply to, and really just having a plan is how you're going to overcome that. And then finally, don't minimize your field's ability to earn. I can't tell you how many times I've been on the receiving end of an upset leader because we have discounted a product so much that the rep can no longer earn, or the rep can no longer sell it outside of a promotional period. These are all things that you need to think of. You may want to discount something greatly because you know what? We want to move a ton of this product in Q4. But are you willing to discount it so much that you don't move any of them outside of Q4? So be mindful of the bigger picture. Be mindful of your field's need to be able to sell outside of Q4 and also to be able to remain profitable themselves even within Q4. So here are some examples of some promos that really can work. And I've broken it down between November and December, but obviously you can choose to use them whenever it makes sense. In my opinion, November is a great time for those simple promos because you are literally trying to get people to come back and purchase as much as possible. BOGOs, free shipping, those recurring consistency promotions, the cumulative customer rewards, those are all going to be really great items for November. December is actually where I think that you can get away with having a high number of promotions in a very short period. I've seen a lot of companies have a lot of success with the quote unquote countdown to Christmas or 12 days of Christmas or leading up to the holidays, whatever you want to name it. The idea that for the first 12 to 20 days of December leading up to those shipping deadlines, Those are your last minute shoppers. Those are the people who maybe they've already explored your products and now they want to explore further. This is when you can get really creative, and really you can have a different promotion every single day in December. But the reason that you can do it is because at this point, customers are already in that last minute shopping mode. Okay. And they're going to take deals wherever they can get them, even if that means coming back to your site every single day and placing a separate order to get the various deals that you have on offer. Okay. I've seen it done both ways, as far as, do you publish the full promotional schedule ahead of time, or do you make them wait and every day reveal what that is? I think the latter tends to work a little better, so that you don't run into customers waiting for one of the future deals. However, I have seen both work very well. Okay. So those are a couple of examples that work. And I wanted to jump in, if I can find my mouse here, I wanted to jump into a couple of examples on the actual configuration side.
Cassie, while you're doing that, Bart actually had a question in the Q&A.
Yeah.
One issue I've had with past companies I've been at is if you offer too many discounts and specials, the field comes to expect them and don't buy without them. Any suggestions on how to avoid that? I think there's a couple ways that we can do that, and one thing you might want to show when you're creating that is the ability to have, I mean, we can set limits on, has someone earned a promotion in the past 12 months or last month or whatever. You can really limit that their abilities. Or any other suggestions you got too.
Yep. And just to make sure, can you see the back office now, or is it still my PowerPoint?
Yep, we can see your back office.
Okay, I didn't know if I had just shared the screen or not. Sorry.
And my question really is, Cassie answered that with the chaotic promotions, and I agree with that totally. But what exactly is a chaotic promotion? But I do like the idea of limiting them. So any ideas on how you can show us how to do that as we set up the promotions would be appreciated.
Yep, absolutely. So this is our promotion interface. If you guys haven't seen the new UI, that's what I'm going to use today. You can still use our legacy interface if you're very comfortable with that. I know, Alex,
Yeah,
you're
don't
probably
worry,
always
I
going to
do.
use that legacy one, right?
I don't. I mix it up.
Okay, excellent. That's
It
good to
depends
know.
on my
all
needs.
legacy.
Elise, you're all legacy.
I do wish there, and I might be missing it. I might be misremembering. I don't think I've looked around recently because, you know, that area gets updated constantly nowadays. I can't like archive and get stuff made with the new layout out of my way when it's done.
Gotcha. Okay. I don't know the answer to that offhand, but we can check on that for sure.
And Ruben had a question in chat as well with some of those promotion examples that you gave, first order discount or promo on second or third order of the month. Are those built into the promo engine? I know that answer is yes. I didn't know if you wanted to kind of dive in and show on how that can be done there.
Yeah. You assume I know how to do all of those things. I kid. I'm pretty sure I know how. If not, obviously our support team is fantastic at that, and your assigned client success lead can absolutely help with that as well. But I'm going to try to get through some of these. So
I can't say some of that stuff is like legacy only currently.
Okay, good to know.
I was going to say, I can show you on legacy.
Maybe you guys can talk me through it after I get through the new interface. So one thing I do also want to make sure that everybody's aware of is that we've also expanded the types of promotions that are available, namely this bottom one here, this final promotion. That's going to be something that is especially useful for anybody who may be using an external cart and passing order data to us after the transaction is complete. That final order allows for an evaluation for promotions after the order is completed and that data is passed into the Freedom environment. So if you are using an external cart, you may think our promo engine isn't for you. It's actually not true anymore. We're adding the capability, and we're going to expand even more on things that you can do after the fact. So this would be like if the order's coming into us, you can award credits, you can change to the VIP status, you can change rank if it's a rep. These are all things that can be done through that final order. But for the sake of today's webinar, I'm going to jump into kind of our standard checkout promotions. All right, so now you can see how the new interface kind of walks you through this. So this is going to be holiday promo 2025, let's say. Okay. So then basically what you're going to do from here is, what are the behaviors that we want the promotion to have? So what is the order and what is the behavior? So do you want to force the customer to accept the promotion, which would be which one is that? That is the do not suggest.
Do not suggest.
Do not suggest, but show them. You can also do not suggest and hide them. So they're just literally getting it, right? Suggest is going to be when you want them to choose whether they want to take advantage of the promo or not. Okay, so I'm going to say this one's do not suggest, show to the user. So now it's who do I want to be eligible for this promotion, including start and end dates. Okay, this is really key because what you can actually do is today or within the next 2 weeks, before we even get into the busy season, you can actually come in and set up all of your promotions with the appropriate start and end dates so that you're not having to do that throughout the holiday season when you guys are very busy as well. So you can absolutely use those start and end dates to schedule it ahead of time. And then from there, it's pretty self-explanatory. Do I want reps, customers, or both? And then specifically, which countries, which price types, that's going to be really important. For example, a lot of times you're not going to want your promotions to apply to wholesale orders because wholesale is already discounted, right? This is also where you're going to get into like, do you want promotions just for your VIP customers or just for your full retail customers? These are all of those options here. And this all falls under the who is it that I want to be able to earn these promotions. After that, now I'm going to get into the actual conditions. So what do they have to do on the order in order to be eligible for the reward? So it might be they have to order a particular number of items or a particular item itself. You can actually go in and say, when they order this specific group, this category or collection, then they get something else. If you don't want to use the items themselves, you can say, are they enrolling in auto ship? Are they a VIP or not? Do they have referred customers? Am I rewarding people based on this? Currency type. There's all these different kinds of conditions that can be used. Shipping method, rep number. Most often what you're going to use is the item count. Just because that's the most common condition that you're going to have here. But some other ones that you might have are party, for you party plan clients that are here. Price is going to be where if you want to say spend $100, get free shipping. Okay, that's where your price is going to come in because it's not necessarily at the item level, it's at the total level. Okay, so then once you choose your condition type, that's when you can also start setting some of these thresholds. Do I want to exclude any items from being considered here? Maybe it's, okay, I want them to receive this whenever they whenever they purchase 10 items on their order, but I don't want tech gear to be counted as one of those items. Not sure why you would want to do that, but that's what you can do here. You can limit the items that are contributing toward this condition. Let's see here. You can choose parent items, child items, all of those things. You can also stack conditions. So if my first condition was item count, my second condition can be price type or total price, right? So maybe it's that they have to have a certain number and also a total amount. So you stack as many of those as you want. And each one is going to have their own limiters. So back to Bart's question, this is where the new UI kind of does the thinking for you a little bit, not like in a scary AI way, but that as you choose the condition, the different options are going to change down below. So are they a past host? Obviously, that's a yes or no. If it's a price, you can choose, are we including taxes in that price? Are we not? Are we included relating items? Are we not? So the limiters are going to dynamically change on the screen based on whatever condition you're using to select there. Okay. Once we get past the conditions, then you're going to get into the actions. And this is where it's going to be, what do you want them to actually get? Okay. Do you want them to get a fixed price discount, a line item discount, a total order discount? Do you want to award credits after the fact? Those are all the different types of actions that you can do here. All right, I'm going to back out of this one and go really quickly into the legacy version. So I want to use my legacy interface to start a promotion. Now it's going to take me to the screen that you guys have probably historically seen, which is all of it on one page instead of walking me through step by step. But you still have the same types of options here. So my action, might be a free gift card, right? And then from that, do I suggest, do I not? Is it redeemable online? Is it the rep or the customer? So again, you're going to have the same types of actions and limiters. It's just going to be all on one page instead of walking through it. Also a big difference between the old interface and the new. The old interface, you're going to create your conditions and your actions on two separate pages and then link them together, versus the new UI kind of walks you through building it all at once. All right. Okay. I'm sure that was a very, very high level. And I know that you guys on the call probably could walk circles around me in the promotions that you're setting up. However, at 30 minutes in, I do want to jump back to make sure we don't run out of time. So if we have time at the end and you want to talk more on the specific setup, we can definitely do that. But for right now, I do want to get back over into the presentation just so that we don't run out of time. All right. So the last thing I will say about promotions, now is the time to plan. Don't wait. Configure your promotions ahead of time. If you have a lower environment that is not production, I recommend testing them as active promotions in that lower environment. See how your different promotions are going to play with one another. See if it's truly working the way you expect it to. If you don't have a lower environment available, you can still configure them ahead of time. You just can't do as much of the testing and modeling ahead of time. But you can absolutely still configure them so that you're ready come busy season. I also really, really cannot stress enough, identify the KPIs that you're going to use to track each promo effectiveness. Okay, back to the very beginning when I said that there are multiple strategies for your customer promotions. If this particular promotion is supposed to drive up the average ticket price, and every transaction should be a higher transaction retail value, make sure that you're looking at that both prior to, during, and after the actual promotion. That's how you're going to know whether it's working. If you're trying to get new customers, obviously make sure that you're tracking new customers during that promotion. But the key is to identify this before the promotion starts, because you want to know which reports you're going to need to look at and know what your baseline is. If you don't know what your baseline average ticket price is, then how do you know whether it has increased as a result of this promotion? So make sure that you've identified the KPIs and you have a plan for how you're going to track them throughout the promotion period. And then finally, as an advocate for the field, communicate what you can when you can. I don't love over communicating because it is going to distract them from their business and it may cause them to wait if they know something is coming up. But it is best to communicate what you can when you can. Remember that you are working with your field to grow this business, right? You are relying on them to promote your brand and get it in front of more people. That's why you chose this industry, right? So anytime you can link arms with them as opposed to either actually or being perceived as working against them, you're going to be better served. So communicate with your field as much as possible. Listen to your field if they've got concerns, and then act accordingly. All right, so now we're going to move into rep incentives. Rep incentives, very different from customer promotions. These are the incentives that your field can earn during Q4. And your rep incentives are going to have different strategies, just like your promotions. But I always say during Q4, the specific goals that you should have for your rep incentives. Focus on incremental activity. It can be, I've seen so many companies make the mistake of rewarding what I call walk-in behavior. Designing a rep incentive so that it's going to automatically get earned based on what reps were already going to do. You want to reward incremental activity when it comes to your rep incentives because your comp plan already takes care of the base activities that they're doing, right? So if you're going to have a rep incentive during Q4, and you don't actually have to have one, it would be perfectly acceptable not to incentivize them above and beyond the existing comp plan during these peak times. However, if you are going to have a rep incentive, I recommend incremental activity. Maybe it's less about total sales and more about the order count or the party count. If possible, challenge them for year over year growth. Okay, that one's a little bit more complex to actually set up, but it is something that can be done with enough notice and does require us to help you out a little bit. But you can actually set a benchmark for each individual rep and have them work against their own progress from last year. Secondly, focus on new customers and new reps. I really strongly encourage you to reward your reps for first orders in November, bringing those new customers in, enrollment items. Obviously, that's something you can do year round, but especially in Q4, it's a really good idea to have a focus on the new coming in. Auto ship and subscriptions. This is going to work to your benefit to take your Q4 momentum and extend it out into Q1, Q2, and beyond. So think about incentivizing your reps during Q4 to encourage them to enroll into auto ship themselves, get customers enrolled, get their downline enrolled. Enrollments in Q4 are what's going to carry that business throughout the first of the year. Okay, but incentivizing it gives them a reason to talk about it, a reason to focus on it, whereas normally they might not even be thinking about the subscription business because they're so focused on just holiday sales. Okay, so this is where an incentive for your reps can help them focus their energies on the behaviors that you want to drive. And you have your biggest audience in customers for Q4. So we want your reps to be talking about the things that you want them selling during this time. So think about really pushing the enrollment into these recurring orders as a way to incentivize your reps during Q4. And then finally, reward that conversion from customer to rep, customer to VIP, single customer to recurring customer. anytime you can reward a rep for taking that one-time purchase and making it a brand ambassador, making it a recurring customer who is loyal to your brand, you're going to be better served. So you can see how the rep incentives are a little different in Q4 because you don't just want to incentivize sales and recruiting like you do normally throughout the year. You want to specifically encourage them to have conversations about recurring orders, loyalty programs, and referring others to the business. So some do's and don'ts when it comes to the rep incentive. Do reward new activity. Do encourage competition. The scary thing about rep incentives during Q4 and specifically November is that if you just say do X and get Y, what happens if everybody does X, right? There's this unpredictable nature to the holidays where you never really know how much volume is going to come in. Anything's possible during the month of November. You're going to see sales volume that you've never seen before, even if it is at the rep level and your individual reps are just operating at that higher level. What I like about competition and what that means is instead of a do X, get Y, it's the top 10 sellers, top 10 in new customer acquisition, top 10 by rank. That's where you can really encourage that competition, because then as everybody starts to step up their game and the retail sales start really going through the roof, they're bringing the field along with them and they're encouraging one another to continue to raise that bar. Now, I do recommend doing this by rank or some sort of segment. If you're not going to use rep rank, then I would suggest doing like a rookie category versus an established, or maybe it's a 3 different segments: rookies, non-leaders, and your leaders, because you do want it to feel achievable. And somebody coming in brand new might not feel like they can compare to your double diamond director, right? So I encourage you to segment these rep incentives, which you can do through the new incentive tracker. And then always, always, always test before you go live, right? And this can be 2 things. This could be twofold. 1, test your incentive before you put it out there. But 2, you can use an incentive to test a new idea for a permanent program. So maybe you're thinking of adding an order count qualification to your comp plan. You know, that's something maybe you've been throwing around. Use an incentive during Q4 to test whether it really does drive the behaviors that you want. If it does during that temporary incentive, chances are it's still going to motivate and do it through the regular program as well. So this is a great opportunity to test tweaks to your comp plan, test sales programs outside of your comp plan. Maybe you're just testing new recognition categories, and during the incentive, there's a tangible reward for them, but maybe beyond Q4, it's just a new recognition category for it. Okay, so really use Q4 and incentives to help test what you may be playing around with on permanent changes. Some don'ts when it comes to incentives, and this first one does not just apply to Q4, but don't try to compete with your comp plan. And here's what I mean by that. If your comp plan is already rewarding your customers, if your comp plan is already rewarding your reps based on their personal sales, you don't also need an incentive to reward them based on sales. You're not going to get incremental activity from doing that, and all you're going to do is spend money on that reward. So that's why I say if your comp plan is rewarding based on sales, maybe the incentive is rewarding based on customer count or order count. Okay, make sure that one complements the other versus both competing or trying to double reward for the same behavior. You also don't want an incentive that is so different than your comp plan that a rep has to choose, am I going to work the comp plan and get paid, or am I going to go for this incentive and ignore my regular duties? Okay, there has to be a synergy between the two, and doing one should also help them accomplish the other, even if it's not a walk-in scenario. And then lastly, don't reward existing walk-in behavior. If you model your incentive and you see that 80% of your reps are going to get it just based on what they did last year with no change in behavior, that's not a well-designed incentive. Your incentive should only have up to maybe a 15 to 20% walk-in, and then the incremental business that you think this incentive is going to motivate, that's really what you're going after here. So make sure you model it, identify your baseline, and set it at such a threshold that people are going to earn it with incremental activity. Obviously, you're going to have some walk-in. Your double diamond director is going to walk into any sales incentive you ever have, right? That's assumed. But you need to make sure that lift group is high enough that you can justify paying out the walk-in because your lift group is adding so much incremental business to your Q4 sales. All right. So some examples that work on incentives. And there are so many different examples here. I just picked a few here. Tiered rewards for order count. So you can say to your reps, for the month of December, anybody with 10 or more orders gets free business supplies. Anybody with 100 or more orders, maybe there's a special bonus pool that you're going to pay out of for anybody that qualifies there. 1,000 orders or more, give them a special trip or an exclusive event. What I like about this is there's something for everyone. Everybody feels like they can achieve something. Maybe 10, 100, and 1,000 aren't the right thresholds for you, but you can see how having that tiered threshold, and this is a you do, you get. So yes, you're going to have some walk-in here for the lower levels, but the reward that you're giving at the lower levels is low cost or no cost so that the walk-in doesn't kill you on the overall ROI. I also really like reps expanding their reach. So maybe you're going to award points for new customers that place their first order, or new reps that join during this period. And the top 10 reps all get a specific amount of a bonus. Maybe the next 20 are a part of a pool. The next 70 get an exclusive invite. Again, different tiers, different achievements, so everybody feels like they can accomplish something here. If you don't like the tiers, you can absolutely just do one prize. That's where I would say, though, the segments come in. So you've got a winner here, a winner there, and a winner with your rookies. And then finally, get creative in thinking out of the box on the rewards. It doesn't always have to be free product or cash. It can also be something that helps them in the next earnings period. For example, anybody that you recruit in December, maybe the new sponsor gets double their volume for that 1 month, which is going to help them hit their rank. It's also going to encourage them to really work with that new recruit to get as much volume from them in their first 30 days as possible, because it's going to benefit me, okay? Maybe it's whatever the rank of your new recruit in November sticks for December. You can absolutely force rank any of those new reps that come in November so that their December rank automatically is at that same level or above. And then that sponsor has even more motivation to get them in early, get them working hard in November, and get their rank as high as possible. Because guess what? In December, I can use your rank to help me hit my rank qualifications. Right? So there are a lot of unorthodox ways that you can encourage the same type of behavior. If you want to encourage them to enroll new reps and get them off to a great start, you're not limited to just paying for the recruits or rewarding in that way. Get creative. Think about unorthodox ways to really encourage not just the recruiting, but the mentoring and the coaching and the fast start for those recruits that come in during Q4. This is where I normally jump over to the incentive tracker and go through it. I don't know if we have time, maybe very, very quickly. Let me jump over here. So for those of you who may not have seen the incentive tracker yet, This is the incentive tracker, and I'm going to click to add a new one. When I create a new incentive, obviously there is holiday incentive 2025. A description can go here. Start and end dates. Note that it does not have to fall month to month. You can run an incentive literally from November 10th through November 25th. Okay, maybe for those 15 days, you're going to have an incentive here. It can also span months. Maybe it's the 15th of November through the 15th of December. Okay, you have complete flexibility here on the start and end dates for these incentives. You can also limit who is included, who's eligible to earn. Do you want all your reps to be able to earn, or do you want a portion of your reps to be able to earn? This can also be for a single incentive. You have different qualifications or different ways of earning points for different segments of your field. And the way you would do that is by actually setting up 3 separate incentives with different qualifications for the different rep collections. Now, you can also use a single incentive with different rules by rank, but the key is it doesn't have to be one to rule them all, okay? You can really cater it so that everybody feels like they have an equal chance of succeeding. So who do you want to include? Who do you want to exclude? And then once you create that incentive, that's when you're going to be taken to the next step, which is how are they earning points and what are the rewards that they can get for those points? Okay, so the point qualifiers, these are what are the behaviors that you're trying to drive with this incentive. And you're going to see that there are a ton of behaviors to choose from. Okay, you can do it based on personal volume or downline volume, party, sponsored rep rank promotion, personal rank promotion based on join date. There are all of these different qualifiers for the different behaviors that you want to drive. Each one of them is also going to have different limiters, just like on that promo engine. So if I want to reward points based on personal volume, I can set a point value of what do they get for every dollar sold. Do I want to change that within the incentive period? You can literally set this up so that in the first 2 weeks of the incentive, they're getting 1 point per volume, but maybe in the second week or the third week, they're getting 2 points for every dollar of volume. Those are all options here. Also, which volume do you want to look at? Is this based on retail sales? Is it based on volume? Are you including the price and the tax or the tax and not? All those options here for the volume. You can also indicate min and max. So you can say a rep doesn't start earning points for volume until they've hit at least 500 in PV for the month. You can do that. You can also say they can only earn points up to 1,500 PV. That way your double diamond director that might have $20,000 in volume for November is still only going to get the initial 1,500 points from that. Okay, so that's where your min and max is going to come in. And then the advanced criteria lets you specify it even further. So we know we're going to reward points based on personal volume. Do you want the rep's personal purchases to count, or should it be customer only? This is also where the first order functionality is. So this is where you can literally say you're going to earn points based on the customers placing an order for the very first time. This is new customer volume, and it's only going to be based on the new customers and their first orders, right? So that's one area where you can really get very specific. If you've got different customer types, if you've got VIP or loyalty, you can set different point thresholds and say, you're going to earn double points for any of your VIP customer volume versus your retail customer volume. Or maybe it's you don't earn points at all on your VIPs because you're going to reward them in some other way for that. All of this can be done through the various filters and limiters that you have on each one of these qualifiers. Okay? Down to 10 minutes. We're going to get back over here. All right. So just like promotions, incentives don't have to wait until the start date. I highly encourage you to get in there, play around with your incentives, and model it against the prior year. If your incentive is going to run 11/1 through 12/15, in your lower environment or even in production, you can do this safely, as long as you don't publish it to Revolution. But regardless of which environment you're in, take that incentive and put it on the same time frame of last year. Then process it and see who would have achieved it, who wouldn't have achieved it, how would they have achieved it. One of the best things about our incentive tracker is that after you've run it, your internal reporting allows you to not only see who is earning the incentive, but how are they earning it? Are the points coming from parties? Are the points coming from new customer volume? Are the points coming from personal purchase volume? You can see based on last year's activity where you're going to have that walk-in and also which behaviors they're already doing naturally. You may want to then tweak your incentives so that you're promoting new behaviors that they didn't do last year, or promoting them at a higher threshold of activity than what would have happened last year. This modeling against last year is where you're going to ensure that you have an ROI. You're also going to be able to identify that baseline so that you know what you're tracking against, right? If last year we would have had 10% achieving, then, this year we want to see 20%. If last year we would have had 80% achieving, chances are our incentive isn't designed very well, right? And then just like your promotions, identify the KPIs to make sure that it's effective. What behaviors do you want to drive, and what reports do you need to monitor throughout the incentive to make sure those behaviors are actually being driven? Also, think about some of those ad hoc levers that you can pull during the incentive. If it's not producing the results that you want, do you add a new way of earning points, a new qualifier? Do you adjust the point threshold? Do you open it up to more reps? Do you lock it down? Like, what can you do as in the moment, it's not working, I need some catalyst to really get this fire going? So identify those ahead of time, hoping that you never have to pull them, but being ready to pull them should you need to. And then, as before, communicate to your field as much as you can. And beyond communication, make sure that they have the reporting and the visibility that they need to be able to track their own and their team's progress throughout that incentive. If you're using our incentive tracker, it builds the reports for you, so it's very easy. But you may also want to create a dashboard widget with 4 KPIs that help them track the same behaviors as the incentive program. That's definitely an option. You can also just use a free text widget to take them directly to the incentive tracker from their homepage. Okay, so think about how you can get them in front of the reports that they need very quickly during that incentive period. The final area that we wanted to talk about was field tools. So in Q4, it's so important to make sure that your field has the tools they need to be successful, because they are going to be busier than ever. Okay, so you don't want them to have to spend time searching for the tools or digging in their back office. Any time spent on tools is time not spent talking about your products, talking about the business, sharing it with others. So make sure they've got the tools that they need before they get busy, and make sure they know how to use those tools before they get busy. Okay. So when it comes to field tools, definitely think mobile first. Think about saving them time. Okay. For example, customer management, setting up customer groups can help save so much time for your field. If your rep is having to go into your customer manager and set filters and segment, or maybe they're exporting to Excel and doing all of that, That's all time taken away from promoting your business and connecting with others. Instead, set up customer groups for the types of customers they should be reaching out to. Okay, that may be different in Q4 than it is other times of year. So really think about, as a rep, what are the activities that I'm going to be doing to my existing customers in Q4? I'm probably going to want to reach out to people who purchase specific products. I recommend having a customer group for every category of product that you have. If you're a jewelry company, have a customer group for anybody that bought necklaces or bracelets or earrings. Having a segment for each one of those means that your reps don't have to go in and find them. Instead, they say, oh, here's my 300 customers who purchased bracelets. I'm going to shoot them a message about our BOGO that's happening on all bracelets this December. Okay, so you're saving them time and making them more effective with what they're doing. Also, as always, make sure you're maintaining your brand and your voice. And this is actually why you want to make sure that the field has all the tools they need, because if you don't supply the tools, they will make them themselves. And when reps make their own tools, it's not your voice, it's not on brand for you, and you want to control that, because the worst thing that can happen is for a customer to be confused about who you are and what your products do. So by providing the tools to your field, you're preventing them from making them themselves. As with the promotions and the incentives, don't overwhelm your field with too many options. Okay, I know it can be tempting to have 4 different mobile apps for all the different activities they might want to do. Asking a rep to download, learn how to use, and effectively manage 4 different apps is almost impossible. Right? And what you're going to actually do by offering too many tools is you're going to prevent them from working, because they're going to spend all their time trying to figure out how to use the tools. So don't overwhelm them with too many options, and don't introduce new tools mid-peak season. As soon as you change something that a rep uses in her daily business, you are stopping her from working, because now she has to educate herself on that new tool. So if you're going to introduce tools, don't do it in the middle of the season. Do it before or do it afterward. Some examples that work. Obviously, dashboard reporting is so important so that they don't have to hunt for the information. Anything you can serve up right front and center from the moment they log in is going to be key. Customer groups, I already talked about. Make sure replication is on every communication that goes out. The last thing you want is for your reps to feel like they're competing with you. So if you're communicating on their behalf, if you're sending marketing out, make sure it's got replication so that the rep does not lose all the work they've done to create that customer relationship. And then finally, bonus-based alerts. Bonus-based alerts are so powerful, especially during Q4, because you can really help a rep to understand where she's at in her business, how close she is to achieving something new. Q4 is a great time to turn some of these on. Over communicate with your reps when it comes to where they're at in their earnings or the incentive or the comp plan, whatever it might be. The more you can help them understand that without having to go and dig for it, the better off you will be. And again, now's the time. Don't wait until you're mid-season to launch these things. And one really important thing, make sure that you have a very clear strategy on what you're going to be doing versus what you expect your field to be doing. You don't want to overstep one another. And if there's a very clear delineation, for example, corporate's going to handle all your transactional communications, but it's on the rep to reach out and make sure that that customer is happy with their product, right? That's a very clear distinction between what you're doing and what the rep is expected to do. And communicate that to the field so that they understand, oh, you guys are handling those transactional emails for us, but I need to follow up also. Okay, set the expectation so that it's very clear what everybody is doing. So to recap, plan now, don't wait until we're mid-season. Set very specific goals for every promotion, for every incentive. Make sure there's a reason that you're doing it. Measure what matters. If you don't know what behaviors you're trying to drive, go back and set the specific goal. Once you do know what behaviors you're trying to drive, make sure you know how to monitor them. Which reports am I going to use? How often am I going to measure it? Is it a daily measure or a weekly or a monthly? Partner with your field, share what you can when you can, and ensure that Q4 fuels your Q1. Make sure you've got at least one element, whether it's a promotion or an incentive, that helps carry your Q4 momentum into Q1 so that you can be successful to start out your new year as well. All right, I know we're at the end of our time. I am going to stick around a little bit and answer any questions if anybody does have them. But if you do need to drop, that's fine too. I do want to let you know our next webinar is going to be November 13th, and it's going to be all about preparing for tax season. Our partners at Avalara are going to join us and give us some great tips for tax prep. So make a plan to join us then. And like I said, if you need to drop, I thank you so much for joining us. If you have time to stick around, I'm happy to go through any of the questions that you might have.